Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm Holly and I'm here in my Zone 9B Southern California garden, and it's March 18th and I have a lot of things to do in the garden today because it's spring, and honestly we've gotten so much rain. If any of you watch the news and know about it, California's gotten just tons and tons of rain, so I haven't been able to do much in the garden for the past several weeks, and everything has grown dramatically. So I have a lot to do and I'll take you along for some of that. But first, I wanted to give you an update on the seedlings that or the seeds that I sowed a couple of weeks ago. And there's a video about that. I can link it in the description. So here you see that my seedlings have come up. There are still some in the house that haven't come up yet, but I bring them out every day to get sunlight and then take them in at night because the nights are still cold. And what you can see here on the left is these are actually a mix of tomato and pepper seedlings. And then here in the middle, in the front, there's some more pepper seedlings. There's also a random curry leaf plant in the very front there that I've been kind of trying to nurse through the winter. And then in the back, or actually these larger leaf plants here, these are pumpkins. And in the very back, we have some more peppers. I think these are the Carolina Reapers. And then if you move over to the far side, you can see in the front, there's some more tomatoes and actually some basil. Those are the really tiny leaved ones, or the basil. And then the giant ones here are dragon tongue beans. And then in the back left, these are loofahs coming up. And so they're all doing pretty well. And the beans at least are going to be ready to go out probably in just a couple of weeks. So one thing you might notice if you zoom in closer, some of these have multiple seedlings per pot. And so I just wanted to speak to that. And, you know, that's just because I don't want to risk some seeds not germinating and waste potting mix that way. So I usually do put about 3 seeds per container. And then what'll happen is I will thin out or cut out the weakest ones later and just keep the strongest ones to plant out. The other thing I want to point out is I have to protect my seedlings from predation, so particularly from birds, and then also some larger insects that these covers can screen out. And so these covers, they look like something that would be for camping, and I think that's where they got the idea. But these are specifically to protect seedlings, and if I can put a link in the description, I got them on Amazon. They're not too expensive, and they're really great for my purposes for protecting seedlings, but still allowing light through. The only thing is they are pretty light, and so you do want to hold them down. And so what I do, they have these little loops here on the corner. I hold them down with bungee cords, and I just loop them under the table, and that way if it gets windy, they're not going to fly off. So like I said, some of these will be ready to go out in a couple weeks. The peppers and tomatoes, it's probably going to be more like a month or two, but things are moving along nicely here. So what I'm going to do is I'll take you over a little bit later and show you some of the other things that I need to get done in the garden today. So the first thing that I need to do today is I need to cut down these cover crops, and I can link my cover crop video in the description below so that you can see this and learn more about it. But one thing I did want to add to what I said in that video is the reason why I'm going to cut it down whenever it's still flowering. And honestly, I'm cutting it down a little late. I would have liked to cut it down a week or so ago, but again, we've just had so much rain that I couldn't do it. But when you have crops that are legumes, a lot of people know that legumes fix nitrogen in the soil. And so then you're told to grow those kind of plants in order to get more nitrogen in your soil and kind of help future plants. But if you let legumes go to seed, and mature, they actually use up that nitrogen that they saved. And so if you're growing cover crops in order to increase the nitrogen in your soil, you need to cut them down before they use it up. And so what's typically recommended is that you cut them down when about 50% of them are flowering. And I'd say I'm a little bit beyond that because of the weather, but I mean, that's okay. It's not an exact science and it'll be fine. So stay tuned because I'm going to work on cutting all of these at the base and then piling some of them up as mulch if I've got too much to just mulch this bed. I'll probably chop the rest up and put it in the compost pile. So, got to get started. Cut off while I was clearing out the cover crops from this bed. So let me just give you a view of what the bed now looks like before I put some of the cover crops on as mulch. And you can see I do still have some shelling peas behind there growing on an arch. So those I'm going to keep for now. And you can see all of the nice green organic matter that I pulled out of that bed. And that's what's going to go on top of the bed for mulch for now, and then also probably some of it will go in the compost bin. So here's the bed that had the cover crop in it, and now you can see it with some of the remains of the cover crop piled up on top as a mulch, and this is just to keep the soil protected and moist until I'm ready to plant it out. So I'll probably be putting some dragon tongue bush beans here in a couple of weeks. So I do have more to do in the garden, but feeling kind of tired today, so I think I'm gonna stop here and then perhaps later this week work on some more stuff, and maybe I'll bring you guys along. So I hope you enjoyed the video, got a taste of what I'm doing in the spring, learned a little bit about how to take down cover crops in raised beds. And let me know what you're doing right now, if it's spring in your area or if it's fall and you're, in the southern hemisphere. Let me know what you're doing there as well. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.